Let's kick it. Ice, ice, baby. Hi, fans. Welcome to this next edition of Inside the Igloo, where we take you inside the Jacksonville Icemen hockey team, whether it be team staff, some of the inside happenings and news with the team, or chatting with ice players and also individuals across the ECHL and the world of hockey. But it's an inside look into the team. And without further ado, we got to welcome this week's guest, and that is the newest signing for the Jacksonville Icemen. I don't want to say he's new, but it's the latest signing, and that's forward Ian McKinnon. Ian, how are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's good to see you again. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of buzz going on right now about you returning. Just looking on social media yesterday, people are really excited to have you back. I think they really appreciate what you bring to the table every night. Obviously, you're a hardworking guy. You play with some grit and passion. I think people really, get behind that and really just want to get your initial thoughts about, returning to Jacksonville here for your second season pro.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a big year for the team and for myself, and I can't wait to get going.
Where are you right now? I got to say, every time I do one of these interviews, everyone beats me in the backdrop. Here I am in a dull room, and we had Garrett hunt out on a lake, and it looks like you got a nice little gazebo deck there. Where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm sitting in my backyard here under the gazebo, but
Nice.
I'm sitting behind the TV, or in front of it, sorry, because a little better lighting. So
You got two screens, one in front of you and then the one behind.
yeah, one behind me. Yeah.
Now, are you in Ontario right now?
Yeah, I'm in Whitby, Ontario, and yeah.
So what have you been doing right now? I mean, I know everyone's kind of got their quarantine stories and how they've been trying to keep keep busy and pass the time. What have you been up to since the season unfortunately came to a close there in March?
Well, when we first got home, it was pretty hectic down here. It was pretty much everyone was in quarantine, and there wasn't much going on. And things have slowly been turning around and opening up again. I've been golfing quite a bit. I have a golf membership, and so I've been using my time doing that wisely. And then I've also been doing a little skating. Rinks just started opening up, so I've been getting back into it slowly.
You talk about the rinks opening up. I know I chatted with Brendan Warren, and he was doing some skating there as well. Was there anything? I know a lot of rinks were closed for a while. A lot of gyms were closed. Was there anything you were doing maybe at home or just to try to kind of stay in some kind of shape? Because it was kind of difficult because of the lack of resources.
Yeah, for sure. I was using the outdoors wisely. I was doing a little bit of running and, just trying to stay active as much as I can.
Well, you look at your first year as a pro. It took you 8 seconds to get involved, to make your name known there. I know when the season started, the drop of the puck, you went with Hal there in Greenville. We know that's it's part of your game. You're tough. You go against a pretty big guy there, but for a guy starting and making his kind of pro debut, 8 seconds, you weren't bashful at all. You went right at it.
Yeah, I thought might as well come in with a bang and get it over with early. So, I figured the first shift was the best time to do it.
Has that always been part of your game, that's this kind of gritty style?
Yeah, I think growing up, I was always hard-hitting forward. Obviously, minor hockey, it's, there's not much rough stuff. And then going into juniors, you can only do so much, right? There was, when I was playing junior A, my last year, I was wearing a cage, and so it kind of helped me develop my game, like on the other side of stuff, not having to worry about fighting or any of that stuff. So it really helped. But I feel like I've always had that grittiness, even from playing lacrosse over the years. I really think that helped.
There's one thing I've learned maybe last season, obviously with you, Emerson Clark, Everett Clark. I don't think Whitby's a place you want to go around running your mouth. Some tough guys there. Obviously, they grow them tough there in Whitby. It just seems, when you look at the three of you guys, it's a place that could have a little bit of a reputation about it right now.
Yeah, Whitby's a pretty big town, and there's a lot of guys here that go out, and I'm sure a lot of guys find themselves getting into trouble, but I know us three, we try to stay out of it as much as we can and keep our hands clean.
Let's talk about the three of you. I mean, you guys known each other quite a while. I mean, obviously, the Whitby connection there. And, how long have you known the Clark brothers? And really, how close are you guys? Was this something that's, you guys known each other for quite a while?
Yeah, our parents have been friends for years. It's a small town, so we're actually all different age groups. But when you're like playing lacrosse and hockey and Whitby, everyone kind of knows each other. My older brother, he played with Emerson lacrosse and that, and then I got to know them. So we've always just kind of known each other from the town, but we became a lot closer after this year.
I heard the lacrosse was big up there, and I know with Emerson, I heard he was pretty good at lacrosse, and I think he had to make the decision whether to go the lacrosse route or the hockey route. But is lacrosse is this kind of like just as big as hockey up there?
Yeah, like it was for years. I feel like it's kind of dying off now, unfortunately. But like it was always the junior A and the senior A team, and guys, they would pack the house like every, Tuesday or Friday, Saturday night, and they'd get a good crowd. But nowadays, I feel like it's just a dying sport, unfortunately. But when I was growing up and years before me, like it was always the sport down here for sure.
What kind of influence were those guys for you last year? Obviously you already knew them, but to go into your first year pro and have some people you already know makes things a little bit more comfortable. But obviously some guys that have been around the game and the league a couple of years, how big of a help was that?
Yeah, it was great. It's tough going into new teams and not knowing guys, and especially going into my first year of pro, like it was nice. Emerson always gives me a hard time saying I got too easy of a ride, but it was great being able to live with Everett, and just didn't really feel far from home being down there.
Well, you return here for a second season, and this season's a little bit different because by signing with the Icemen, you automatically become an ECHL All-Star. Because I don't know if you know that the format for the All-Star game is going to be the entire Icemen team versus the ECHL All-Stars. So I know that's an interesting format. I think it's going to bring a sense of pride for the fans and for you guys. But your thoughts on that aspect here that you're going to be playing in an all-star game on national television and going up against ECHL's best. Does it give you a lot of motivation?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I didn't know that, but that's a good one to add to the resume, I guess. Another notch. But that's great. I'm excited for it, and I think it'll be a great year.
Well, looking at last year, and we talked about obviously 8 seconds into the season, you dropped the mitts, but I want to talk about your first pro goal because I got to tell you, as first goals go, as goals in general go, especially to have it your first, yours was pretty slick. I was there in Fort Wayne. You took a pass full steam ahead. You beat the defense, and boy, you finished it off. I know it made one of our top 7 goal segments that we've been doing this summer. But talk about that moment, and is that how you ever envisioned it? Because it's a pretty one.
Yeah. Well, they don't come easy with me, so that was a good one to get off my shoulders early. I don't really I remember when I buried it, I didn't really know what to do. I hadn't scored in a while, so it's nice to get it over with and finally get that first goal puck.
You came back. I know you kind of fell victim to a little bit of a numbers crunch there with all the AHL guys coming, early in the year. It's just a roster. It's a numbers game sometimes. But when you got the call to come back the second time, how excited were you to just get that second chance? Because then you became a pretty much an every night contributor.
Yeah, it was a great. It was tough at first, heading home, and then I didn't really know what I was doing. I was thinking of going to school, and then I was grateful that I got the call back to come, and I was ready to go. I knew what I had to do my second time around, and I feel like I filled the role that was there for me. And it was great. I loved every second about last year, and yeah.
Talk about the second half of the season. Something kind of switched with the team there. You could just kind of tell with a few moves and all that, but the team was playing on a different level. And you could feel from maybe the first half of the year. I know it's disappointing that the season ended because you guys were certainly in the mix for pushing for a playoff spot. But what do you attribute the second half of the year to? Because there definitely was a difference in the style of play It seems as if things were starting to come together and click a little bit.
Yeah, I think the main thing was, the dressing room. It's really important if everyone's, it gets a little tighter, and I felt like that's what was going on in there. Everyone was believing in each other, and a lot of the older guys took charge and were lighting the lamp pretty good, leading the way, and I think the younger guys just followed, and that was the best. That was the best thing that could have happened for us.
Well, your dog certainly improved there.
Yeah.
With the play. What kind of dog you got there?
He's a cockapoo.
Cockapoo, okay.
Yeah.
My parents had a cockapoo, so that's pretty neat.
He's a cute fella, but he's got a big bark. Just a little guy, though.
They pack a punch. The little ones.
Yeah.
Well, you look at the last year there, and obviously the team coming together. It looks as if things are coming together. Brendan Warren's back on board already, and I know Coach is working on bringing in the core that came there from last year. But looking at last year's team, and some of those guys were there any guys that you saw that maybe kind of early in the year, some of the younger guys that were just trying to get their feet wet, kind of settle a little bit like you did, and then by the end of the year, you could tell that they kind of had adjusted and maybe make a kind of acclimated to the league. Was there anyone that you kind of noticed that maybe kind of elevated their game a little bit last year?
Yeah, for sure. There was a ton of guys. I think the whole young core was, doing really good. My stallmate Bobby, he's an AHL player. He definitely doesn't belong in the ECHL. Yeah. He really turned it around and was hat tricks and whatnot. Like he's a good player. I felt like he really turned it around. And then guys like Marty. Marty was putting the puck in the net pretty good. And there was a bunch of guys. I can name them all, but I felt like everyone had a good year for themselves.
Yeah, I agree. Bobby certainly. You can see a difference for him. Bobby in October, November to Bobby in February and March. There, you can definitely see you kind of made that jump there, and I'm glad to see that he got his deal there with Manitoba. And you look at last season, and I think one of the games that fans talk about, Ian, is certainly that Fort Wayne game. I know right there at the get-go, I think you had just gotten back into the team and pretty much got thrust into a situation. But that's one of those games you get maybe every couple of years. The hits that happened the night before. But I mean, did going into that game? Obviously, in the warm-ups, you guys were right there and both teams were meeting there at the red line. That was going to be one of those nights.
Yeah, you could tell pretty quickly. I remember our first when we went down to Fort Wayne, it was a pretty rough game, and then after the first night, I knew when they were coming back to back, it would be pretty rough game. I wasn't too familiar with it, but I was hearing chatter in the room, and I knew it was going to be a rough one. So yeah, none of the guys in the room were too worried. We had a pretty tough group, and we just went out and showed it.
Yeah, you look at that series, 4 games against Fort Wayne, all 4 were decided in overtime. It was quite a series without question. So, well, this one of the segments, one of the things we do here in this segment, Ian, is we ask for questions from fans, just to kind of give them a chance to ask you some questions. I did get a question. We did get one on Instagram from a username here, Dawson Theed. But really, he's excited to have you back. But he wanted to know what expectations do you have for this upcoming season, and how do you expect to elevate your game?
Yeah, Dawson's actually one of my good buddies. I think they're.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
All right.
They're my hometown buddies, but I think since All-Star year, I think we're gonna have a solid team. I think we're gonna come off hot out the bat, and finish where we left off last year. Yeah, I got big expectations for the Icemen this year. I think we're going to have a good one.
Well, I know everyone's excited about it. Certainly, the All-Star game, kind of the focal point of the season. But it's without question. I think where you guys left off last year kind of springboards you, kind of give you that momentum heading into this year. It just seems as if that things kind of came together a little bit. Well, Ian, listen, you've had some time in Jacksonville. What do you like about Jacksonville? It's, hockey aside, What's been what's some of the good parts there about the town?
Yeah, well, like we don't spend much time in the city, right? Other than when we're at our games and that, or at the rink. But like obviously the beach is great time. We spent a lot of time down there. There's a lot of great restaurants down there, like our sponsors and that. We enjoy going golfing and doing all sorts of that. Like a lot of teams in the league, you can't do stuff like that. So you really got to enjoy your time while you can and use it wisely.
Great. Well, listen, Ian, I appreciate the time here today just to kind of chat with us. I know we're very excited to have you back. And again, like I said, the word broke that you were coming back. The fans were certainly buzzing yesterday. But we look forward to seeing you. In the meantime, stay safe, and we'll be seeing you here soon.
Yeah, for sure, Raider. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in hopefully September.
All right. Sounds like a plan. It's Ian McKinnon, the latest addition to the Jacksonville Icemen for the upcoming All-Star season. And that'll kind of wrap up this edition of Inside the Igloo. Again, we'll be having future segments, and look on our social media channels. We will prompt and ask you for a chance to get your questions for our featured guests. In the meantime, I've been Alex Reed, your host here today. And if you're looking for information about the Icemen season and the All-Star Classic, just visit JacksonvilleIcemen.com. Till next time.
Let's kick it.